Welcome back.
And these are kind of the settings that I start with every drift car. I'm a high tire pressure gang kind of dude. In real life, I run about 45 on the fronts, and the rears, I just put whatever I feel like in them. So I'll start at 60 if I want, just to make them spin real easy. Gearing, I don't usually tune each individual gear unless I see some weird oddities in the gears or I need to change them. Usually I just kind of play with the overall final drive. And obviously this thing, like, I'm not going to be doing 265 mile an hour runs, but so I'll swap the final drive to a bit more acceleration focus just to get a bit more of that instant kind of torque to the ground kind of deal. Alignment, I'm not a huge negative camber guy in the front, but if you're curious, you can run your telemetry while you drift. So I think that's down on the D-pad in the game by default. So you can flick your telemetry on and kind of see what the suspension's doing. So the general idea is you throw camber at the front so that when the car goes sideways and all the weight shifts, it will actually kind of tilt your camber tire to be flat with the ground on whichever tire is the inside of the corner. Outside. So if I'm turning right, it'd be my front left tire kind of thing that goes flat to the ground, which gives you more grip in the front. So depending on how much grip you want, you can play with camber a bit. You know, in my car in real life, I think I've got about 4 degrees up front, and I run a bit of negative in the back just because I like how it looks and it fits my fenders a bit better. But in real life, on a pro car, you'd actually have positive camber on the back, which tilts the top of the wheel outward. And the idea behind that is on a pro car or a Formula Drift car, they actually get the front of the car so stiff and like compared to the back. So the back is super soft, and the general idea is the back will like kind of float around. And depending on how they tune all of the suspension and how soft that is, that changes how quickly the power goes to the ground and how the suspension squats and a whole bunch of other crap. Anyway, if you have positive camber, when you squat the car, it makes the tires contact patch flat with the ground. So the idea is that when you're fully loaded in the car or in the corner, like you've initiated all your weights down, as soon as the car squats to put that power down, the tires will end up going flat with the ground. Gives you the most grip. Most grip equals most speed equals more cowbell. So at this point, I usually run about negative 1.5 in the back because I'm kind of going more for style with this. Toe kind of changes between every car. The more toe out you have kind of gives you more turn and response, but there's a little bit less stability kind of thing. I usually start at a bit of toe out on both just to see. I like lots of front caster. It's just how I drive suits my kind of stability. Or suits my stability. I can't talk. It's been a long day, boys. The stability suits my driving style because I'm not super erratic. I try and be super smooth, but I like my front to be fairly understeering. For anti-roll bar, I usually keep the front. This is another preference thing, but I usually keep the front kind of where it is by stock. But if anything goes stiffer than stock, so I start by stock and then I take the back relatively, 70-80% of what the front is by default. Now for springs, I kind of do the same thing. So in this case, the front is super soft compared to the rear. I'm gonna do the opposite to this. Because usually I like the rear a bit softer. When you're playing with ride height, you just don't want to be scraping the ground, but you want this thing low as hell so it looks good. I usually do something like that, so I rake the back up a little bit, so there's a bit more room for it to flop up and down kind of thing. For dampening, I'm usually like a high 12, low 11, and then 10 and 9 kind of deal, 10 and 8-ish kind of thing. So something like that. Usually your rear is about 75, 80-ish% of your front as a kind of a base. Now, depending on what upgrades you put on, you may or may not have downforce. If you want lots of grip at high speed, throw downforce to it, right? Like if I'm trying to make this thing fast, I'm going to throw lots of downforce. If I'm trying to make this thing slow and just holding angle like crazy, like what the Crown does, I would go low downforce for that. Next we got brakes. Brakes, this is one that's changed since the last Forza. From what I remember, the front used to be on the left, unless I'm just on drugs and they've changed it. But I like a lot of front brake compared to rear. And the idea behind that is, and I lower the pressure a lot so that I can't instantly lock the fronts. sometimes you do want to lock the fronts, but not all the time, so you will have to play with this with your car. If you have a lot of weight on the front, you might be able to have more front brake pressure, right, or more pressure in general. But I usually kind of start at 75-70 type of deal. And the reason for this is when I'm going into a corner, if I'm trying to extend, I'm going to be like handbrake and clutch, right? And sometimes you might want to pull the front out towards the corner, if that makes sense. So if I'm going on a left corner and I'm in the what do you call it? If I'm going around a left corner sideways and I'm on the inside line, and let's say there's a car spun in front of me or something, or I want to move to the right to let my buddy behind me pass to switch spots or something like that. If I want to be cool while I'm doing it sideways, I'll yank the e-brake a little bit to throw a bit too much angle at it. Just keep in mind, whenever you're yanking the e-brake, you are going slower, right? So I pull the e-brake, which puts the ass of the car towards the outside of the corner, and then if you actually dab a bit of front brake while you're still full throttle and all that kind of stuff, called left foot braking, because in real life it would be your left foot. If you're me, your feet are too fat to do it, so you can't really do it. But in the game, you can. When you jab that brake, it's going to put a lot of the weight of the car onto the front axle. So all that weight pushes down on the front tires, which gives them more grip. So when you're doing that at full lock turning right, you're basically forcing the car to push down more to give you more grip to pull the front out. So the general idea is you throw it in, yank a bit of e-brake, and then when you're like, okay, I'm going to get close to maxing out the angle of the car, you dab the brake while you're full throttle, so all that force of the car goes to the front right tire, and then it would pull that front right tire towards the outside. Right, so I've had times in real life where I've like been going left around a corner and there's someone spun on the inside, and you know, in real life I can't do all that kind of shit because my feet are way too fat to get between my two pedals. I gotta move my pedals around a bit, but you know, I would get off the gas for a second and then get back on it, because when I'm off the gas, it's pushing all that weight forward. It'd be the same as hitting left trigger brake kind of in this situation. Anyway, rant over. This is what I use by default. And then for differential, 100 on both. So this basically locks the differential, so the tires spin at the same time no matter what you're doing. Now in real life, this would be called welding the diff. So you're kind of welding your spider gears together. So in real life, when you go around a corner, it spins the inside tire, and your inside tire will actually chirp and wear out. Sounds like a pain in the ass. It is, especially when you're like me and you're trying to tow a trailer with that. It's really awkward to park. People look at you weird, especially when you're trying to like back a trailer into a spot and you're like spinning a tire. It's awkward. Anyway, and it's hard on the axles too. But the benefit of this is it makes it extremely predictable. If you reduce acceleration and decel to like 80%-ish, you're kind of acting more like an LSD would. Now an LSD, or limited slip diff, gives you a bit of slippage angle between the two tires before it locks them, kind of thing. But from my experience with LSDs, they don't always do it at the same time, which is a pain in the ass. Whereas a welded diff, you're always spinning at the same time all the time, so it's very consistent, so you can get used to it. Anyway, that's kind of my rant of my default stuff that I put on all the cars. This is where I start. Now this is not, like, this is by far not the end tune for most things. Usually it takes a few days to kind of get it to where I'm happy with it. But this is about what we've got. I'm just going to flow through these for you. Gears are different with every car and engine combination, of course. Alignment, usually this is about where I start. Sometimes if I need more, if I need to be spinning the rear wheels more, I'll put more negative camber into it. Because then you have less contact patch, but that, keep in mind, you'll have less grip everywhere if you do that. So, anti-roll bar, I kind of start generally wherever it is by default, or I'll lift the front to stiff a little bit, but I always want the rear softer because I want the back end to float. Spring is kind of the same idea. Ride height, stance it however you want. Dampening, I always kind of do this kind of front is always stiffer than rear. Rear is usually about 90 or 80% of the front setting, and then your bump stiffness is about 75 to 80% of the rebound stiffness. Now this is just my default that kind of works for most cars. You know, it'll change a lot with car weight and stuff like that. So this car could be awful, but this works great on the Crown. And then you can kind of play with these. The only way to do tuning right in any Forza really is find a track that you're good at, like get really good at it, run a bunch of laps until you can make the car like kind of do generally what you want and be the same thing every time, and then come in here, change one setting, and then go back out and run 5 laps. If it's better, you know you're going the right way with the setup. and then that's how you kind of perfect your tuning kind of thing, if that makes sense. So I'll go through and run a few laps and go, can I lock the brakes if I put the trigger halfway down? I'll get too much braking force. You know, you want to get to kind of 90% trigger so that you can go in and be hard on the brakes in case you need to stop or to transfer weight, because sometimes I'll wiggle between corners by just hitting the brake. Yeah, so you gotta play around with that. And then diffs, 100% always locked. So that's kind of what I've got here. So I'm just gonna apply that. I'll paint this thing later. We gotta get out of the garage because there's Miami Nights 1984 playing. This is actually a local guy to me.
Cool, huh?
Lives only a couple hours away. Really great dude.
With your friends.
Lets me use his music on YouTube all the time.
Some more just dropped.
If you see any of my videos, look in the description. There's links to his YouTube channel and his Bandcamp. Go there and absolutely buy all his music, or else I won't be mad. I'll just be disappointed. But yeah, so that's pretty much what we got. So I'm gonna try and roll back to the marker still on the drift track. So let's see how this thing works. Oh my god, it rests so quick. Oh my god. This car is so light. Oh yeah, this thing's gonna be an absolute rip. It's almost just too fast. It's like it's got too much grip for even being oh my god. This thing is spicy. Holy crap. Can't even hit the snowboard. One of the first times I was free roaming this game solo, I was like driving the Crown around, which I modeled after my like real life Century. I had Miami Nights playing. I was like, dude, this game is just perfectly what I want. And my Honda Beat's too light to even take out the the Beat is way too light. And I don't know if you're still watching, or if anyone's watching. Probably not, but I don't know if you can do this when you're in a session with somebody else, but you can do this. So this is what's called auto drive, and you can turn on a cinematic camera and just watch your car rip around. So your AI just rips around to whatever spot you've got marked on the map. So if you just gotta go to the washroom or something, you can just auto drive to the event. It's pretty sick. So we'll get some cinematic shots here of our blue Honda Beat before we go rip it. Look at that. Rolling up in the mountains in the background. Boy. So the auto drive does kind of sound a little bit cursed because there's so much transmission whine with the race trans. So if you're going to try and do some cool clips like this and you actually want engine noise, just leave the stock trans in it for the AI to drive. But they don't drive super fast, but they drive spirited, I guess you could say. I want to make some cursed tunes with like a lifted F450 or something and just let the AI try to drive it if they can. But there we go. I think we're here. So I'm just going to reset the stream and then take it for a lap or two. Look at that. Look at that, dude. Even on performance settings, this game just looks incredible. Like, I can't. My brain hurts. Alright, I'm going to reset the stream, then we'll do some laps.